Welcome everybody to London School of Mosaic. Thank you for coming along today, making your way through the rain, but now the sun's coming out. Just for this open day, which will last for an hour and a half or so. And let me just go through. I'll give an overview of the course.
You can't see from here.
That's okay. My name is David Tootill, and I've helped set up London School of Mosaic with many other people's help. There'll be a presentation from Dr. Will Wooten, who's here at the front. We also are welcoming Dr. Eileen Rubery, who's come from Cambridge, and will be delivering on the course Byzantine mosaics?
Yeah,
Roman and Byzantine mosaics. We'll do a tour of the school. Paula Ligo will do a demonstration of traditional technique of making mosaics. And then there'll be light refreshments and chance for a chat. You do have forms and things like that on your seats, so please do fill those out. We'll actually have a space where I'll ask you again on that. But I'll get on with giving an overview of what we're up to. So I'm going to talk about an overview of the course, and you are allowed to interrupt me and ask questions on this one. I'll look at why there should be a School of Mosaic in Britain. We'll look at the structure of the course, the learning outcomes and career, the learning environment that we're trying to create here. How do I apply? And then there'll be question and answer time at the end. So this whole project to open a School of Mosaic comes from a symposium that we held in 2013 at King's College. And the outcome of that symposium was that we are already a school. We were in the South Bank at that time, but we should continue working like that. And so we started planning from them, and we've opened it now. Last year in September we came in and moved into this space here. It's grown out of the work of South Bank Mosaics, so that's where we used to be based, and we'd worked there since 2004 and made quite a successful business of things. So we're using our experience and practice there to inform what we're doing here. We were the first arts group into a crypt in a sort of fairly desperate church, and it became a creative hub around what we were doing with 5 other businesses and charities, and then the churchyard around the church, which had been a virtual no-go area, became a award-winning green flag garden. And strangely enough, we're in a similar situation. If you look around you here, you'll see that there are aspects of dereliction, and I guarantee that in 2 or 3 years there won't be. These places will all be filled up and stuff will be happening. So the focus of our mosaic practice at South Bank Mosaics was placemaking, so making landmark mosaics and making exhibitions, putting exhibitions onto the streets, educating people right from primary school age. I think the oldest person we had was Professor Felix Pirani, a physicist from King's, and the spectrum in between. And socially, we're always immersed in our local community and engaged with the local people around wherever we're working. And that seems to be a pretty good model, I think, for us to go on. This is the first memorial to homeless people in the world, I think, in St John's Churchyard. So it was a churchyard that was sort of controlled by homeless people. And they started working with St Mungo's, putting down roots to make the garden more attractive. And they worked with us to put in seating and sculptures. One of the big projects that we did, a 10-year project, was to put up Blake's Lambeth, which was 70 of William Blake's works around the area where he lived in North Lambeth, and fulfilled a wish of his from 1809 when he had an exhibition in which he sold nothing, and he wrote, "Oh, I wish that I could have my work enlarged and put up into public space," and we fulfilled that wish for him 200 years later. And our largest work is a timeline mosaic on the north bank of the River Thames, so it's 100 foot, and it was on a flood defence wall, just a concrete wall, and we've made that more interesting and enlivening, and it's used by schools, and it's a landmark piece of art. I think about 2 million people walk by it every year already, and that's going to rise because they're just doing the North Bank up. You'll be able to walk, hopefully at the end of this year, from Tower of London to Parliament. So definitely it's one to pass by and have a look at. It's a fascinating place, Queen Hithe. I mean, that's partly what we do, is find out the history of a place and then put that history into a permanent landmark piece of art. And so you link streets to history. That mosaic is near to St Paul's Cathedral, and we've got quite good links to St Paul's Cathedral, and we're supplying their shop with little tiles that we make. It's fine, take a seat. Hopefully you can see that. If I get in the way, just stamp on my toe. We did an exhibition with St Paul's around sort of radical thinkers who were attached to St Paul's Cathedral, people who'd had a big impact, in particular social impact. St Paul's are quite worried. They get a very an impression of always being associated with royalty and the military and things like that, but actually they're also associated with things like the Occupy movement, and there have been plenty of radical thinkers and people associated with them, notably Tyndale, who was burned at the stake for translating the Bible. So that was one of the portraits we did. And we do a lot of work with heritage, and I'm always wooing heritage and trying to encourage them to support us. I'm trying at the moment to get a big project at London Bridge Station and at Waterloo Station, but this was to do with the Battle of the Somme. The 1st Surrey Rifles were in the area where we were in Lambeth at that time, and we did portraits of people and portraits of Vera Brittain as well, which is around somewhere here. You might see it in our, when we go on tour. So why do we need a school of mosaic in Britain? There's a huge heritage of Roman mosaic here, and many of those discovered sites have been reburied. So somebody's at some point is going to have to get trained up and know what they're doing. In Victorian times, there was a Victorian revival of mosaics, an interest in mosaic, kind of led by Sir Henry Cole at the V&A, and he set up a studio and a school there, but it didn't survive his demise or him retiring. So we're looking very closely at that and trying to work out why that didn't work and how we can make sure we do work. Interestingly, the V&A's floors were made by women prisoners, so indicating from an early stage, even then in Victorian times, that mosaic actually can play a role in social engagement. And that's something that we've echoed. We actually work with women from HMP Send, which is the women from Woking. It's a prison in Woking. In those days it was called Woking Women's Prison, and now it's called Her Majesty's Prison Send. And we work and have worked with women trying to help them on their journey out from there. The arts and crafts movement in the late 19th century was very keen on artisan craft, and mosaic was one of the things that they wanted to be taught, and they called for and wanted people to get engaged with it. People have attempted to do that since then, but the most important school was in 1922, this Friuli School of Mosaic in Spilimbergo, and we work with a lot of people from there. At least 7 of their artists have worked with us, and we will be employing people from there to work and help us on the course.
Would they be teaching?
Yeah.
Because that's a very famous school, so
Yeah.
will they come and teach here?
Absolutely, they will. In fact, they're already teaching here, running evening and weekend courses. So yeah, check out. And I think we put on the website if a teacher is from Spilimbergo. But still, with some exceptions, most mosaicists were travelling from Italy to work on big projects in Britain. Eric Taylor from Leeds College of Art was desperate to get mosaicists involved in his work, and he worked out that he needed to set up a school at Leeds, but it didn't work. And then there were other attempts in Glasgow and Liverpool, but again, none of them worked. Excuse me. But now we've got a school here, and it's going to work, and people will be able to train in mosaic up to degree level. We need this because we want that hidden history that's buried to be uncovered over a period of time. But wherever it happens, Fishbourne, Roman Palace, Roman Villa employs 22 people, thousands and thousands of visitors every year coming to a place, you know, in the Sussex countryside. Just trying to think, is it Bignor Roman Villa? Really obscure place. A fantastic place to go to. About 5 or 6 people employed there. Like really difficult, tiny little roads, only one car can drive on to get there. And people have got jobs, and it's in a countryside area. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to look at our ancient mosaics, uncover them and put them on display. Not least that we were colonized, and we should remember that. And that is a record of when we were colonized. The great Victorian mosaics are falling off. So if you sit in the pew and sing too loudly at St. Paul's Cathedral, you might get a ping on your head. So, you know, somebody has to restore those and maintain them. And there are lots of churches, tens, dozens of churches around Britain with Victorian mosaics in them. And I've been to some where the mosaics were just taken down, and people are so sad. So we do need people to work on those. Mosaic is a contemporary way of making public space more interesting and full of character as well. That's what we've practiced, so we know it can happen in the South Bank area of London. We were told, go to the back streets, you're not allowed in the big public spaces, you know, stick to the off-site areas, and we did that, and then eventually we've got this big mosaic on the north bank of the river. Interestingly, not on the south bank, but okay. And then Mosaic is a great practice. We think it's got a lot of potential in terms of social engagement and working with people like the health service and local authorities. And we do a lot of work with our youth offending team in Lambeth and here. And, you know, we think it's got really good potential to help with social engagement. So the actual course itself, the meat of the course, on the very top row here, an emphasis always on fabrication. It will be a very practical course. You will be making things the whole time, making things for yourself, and making things for sale and making things for exhibition. This here, I think by the time the school opens, will be a cafeteria and gallery, and you will be able to exhibit in there. So, you know, there will be a very practical element, and that's where the people from Spillenbergo will be helping us. Art theory. So we've got a lot of people who've done art degrees working with us, and there'll be, you know, geometry, pieces like this here. You need to know how to draw them out, design them, and use maths and geometry and drawing skills. And then thinking also about the philosophy of art and life drawing. And then, really importantly, a huge subject, and something that I think that may have been one of the reasons why people have always stumbled over Mosaic is this history of Mosaic. You could study one island probably in the Aegean for the rest of your life and look at the mosaics there. There are so many of them. So there'll be classical and Roman mosaics, Byzantine and Western mosaics. And there's all subjects that we'll study in the diploma in the first year. Initially it's a diploma because we're still negotiating with university for accreditation, but we're absolutely certain that with the input from people like Will Wooten from King's College and Eileen Rubery from Cambridge, Girton College, and Tessa Hunkin, who has done a lot of work in Westminster Cathedral and ran the Mosaic workshop, and she's an architect, and she'll look at more at the contemporary mosaics. And people like Chris Smith, who's done a lot of work with Eduardo Paolozzi and also with classical and Roman mosaics. People like this of advising us, helping us, giving lectures. The history of mosaic, I think, will come alive, and you'll see what an amazing subject it is. So if you do well enough and you want to continue year 2, transfer into the degree. Again, the top line is fabrication. Looking a lot at public realm work, which is what we're kind of experienced in. And again, ways of seeing and theoretical work around theory of art, designing things specifically for a place, and the role that artists can play in social, in community cohesion. You know, we run already free sessions for our community here. They are our consultants, and we listen to them.
What community is that then?
So that's the children and parents who live here in these houses, but also beyond. It doesn't have to just be these 2 blocks, but yeah. There's going to be a lot of visits, by the way, going out to see places, using the resource of London, which is amazing, but also Roman villas and places around Britain. We've got a link with the British School at Rome, so we're members of that institution. We will be encouraging people to go and visit and see places, and our lecturers will be helping with that. And then in year 3, there'll be a degree show. That's always exciting in an art school. There'll be a dissertation on one of the mosaics that you've particularly liked, or on somebody's practice that you've particularly enjoyed. And then looking as well at the business skills needed to run a mosaic studio. How do you do, how do you do your budgets and things like that. But looking at getting a professional practice and then getting yourself into doing some work and earning some money, maybe. Hi, Victor. Hi there. So just an overview of the learning outcomes. So from the diploma, a really good knowledge of techniques, materials that can be used, thinking about how you present your work and keep it documented and being thorough with that, and then an awareness of the social context of what you're doing and how important it is to work with your local community. And then when you go to the degree level, that's looking at it in a more advanced way, really getting into the detail of professional practice, thinking much more about public art. There'll be a lot of public art that we will do here, so all this concrete will disappear that's around us at the moment, and the gardens here, we're talking with our residents about fountains and murals and things like that, and we'll be engaging in that kind of thing. A very good grounding in the history of mosaic, which is so rich and intriguing. And then, being able to hold your own in terms of art theory, because we've got really good art theorists working with us, and we'll be talking a lot about that. And then, get the skills to set yourself up and run your own business. So what sort of careers and future have you got if you train in mosaic? So definitely wherever you go, you should work with architects. So we've got a local architect already working with us, helping us in the building, but hopefully opening doors for us with architects and other practices so that we can spread the word that this is architecture's most expressive surface, and it should be an option for all buildings that are made today. It should be something that is at least considered. Private commissions, interior design, many of these, that's what most of the work at the moment is on interiors for restaurants, perhaps bathrooms or things like that. The whole area of art therapy and well-being is opening up. A lot of people, Eileen is a doctor actually of medicine as well as being a doctor of philosophy. But I think that, there's a lot of people who feel that the health service is rather addicted to drugs, and it can be kind of weaned off by, I don't want to overemphasize this, but it is a really good, you can develop a good sense of community, a good network, and really enjoy yourself making mosaic. Engaging with your local community in urban regeneration. If you live in a town or a city, as most of us do these days, it's always opportunities for that. Schools and teaching, schools love mosaic projects. So, we've got really good friends, Art for Space down in Stockwell, and lots of their work is, in fact, almost all their work is in schools. The whole area of restoration and conservation we want to open up and get people aware that there are skilled artisans being trained who can help with this. And then academia, You know, you can get jobs here possibly as we develop as a small university, but also into other universities, and we'll be supporting the opening of universities in particular, we've got very good links to St. Petersburg, and in America, Chicago, we'll work with the Chicago School of Mosaic and encourage them to develop to a degree level. We're working close with Spilimbergo, and we will encourage Istanbul, Athens, other places to set up schools of Mosaic. Very important for us is the learning environment. We want this place to be really interesting and for you to come in and you know, enjoy yourself. So we're sort of thinking about this and listening to what people say. So your feedback is really important when you write down, if you've got things that you want to say. But you will be learning in an active studio. There's things going on today. There's sessions going on, people are being taught, and they're doing a session on, I think, sort of using lots of different materials in mosaic making, very much interior, but recycling and thinking about expressing yourself with many different materials. We've got a British mosaic studio that we've set up, and on the tour I'll show that to you. We've got an Italian studio. We've got the large open space, which all the tables in there will be changed. We've got really good tables. We've got a partnership with the British Library, and all their things that they throw away, leather chairs, superb designer tables are coming our way. So we will get really good tables. But the chairs are from them. You'll see some good chairs out there. And that is a space, which the whole central space will be for university students. We've got a ceramic studio. We've already got 7-8 ceramicists here. We've actually got 14 resident artists here already. So just in our little space. And we've got big plans for more. And then a quiet space, the creative suite opposite there, which is the library. It will have 4 computers in, and that will be a place where if you want to do research or read books or you know, just sort of have a quiet time out, that will be a quiet space. And this will be a cafeteria. So there'll be a place to go out to and relax and have a chat and stuff like that. There'll be chairs and tables out here, and lots going on, I'm sure, there. Finance. Okay, we've got investment from the National Endowment for Science, Technology and the Arts. They look forward and see what, you know, should be, could be happening in the future, and then they try and promote that. So they've looked at us and they think that we're something that will gain traction in the future. So they've put in investment into us. For the first year of study, it'll cost £6,000 for UK and EU students, and overseas students will pay £12,000. I apologise for that, you know, that overseas students have to pay more, but that's just the current system that we work in. The school will be open from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. I mean, usually it will be open at the weekends as well. We're already running weekend courses, and I would envisage that it will be open most weekends. There'll be a caretaker who will help with that. So there's going to be a lot of time that you can come in if you want. And the contact hours with lecturers and tutors, we're trying to these things are still under discussion, but we're looking at a 4-hour day based on Finland, the very best education in the world, where they have a 4-hour day and no homework either. I'm not saying you won't have some homework, but it's really interesting that they get the best results in the world and they don't go to school till they're 7. It's amazing. And yeah, so we're looking very closely at Finland, very interested in what's going on internationally. And how to apply. You go onto our website, and applications are open until 1st of August. There is a limit. We can only have 34 students. 4 will be part-time, 30 students full-time. So there is a limit. So if you are interested, please do enroll. You click on the apply button and then read the details of how to submit your application form. You can upload a portfolio. They don't have to be mosaics, but you can put in about 10 pieces of work that you've done, and then we'll come back to you. This will be after April, but we would come back to you with a date for a personal or phone interview, or a Skype interview, or an interview, if you want to, are able to come here. And then you can call us on that number if you get stuck. But the applications are open now. So please take the further additional questions form with you, which details the application process. And then think about, what do you really want to learn? And is there something that you can tell us that we should include in the curriculum? Because we're still thinking a lot, planning, writing, developing things. And at this point, we're able to include people's ideas and make adjustments. And we're also very interested in the idea that everyone has their individual learning plan and outcomes and all those other words, but it's basically that you're seen as an individual, and that's really important to us, and that you are somebody that we want to see develop and enjoy yourself and be successful. Hope to see you in September. I think that's me done. I'm going to come out of this and if at this point, is there any other question that people would like to ask? Yes.
You mentioned part-time.
Yes.
How part-time is part-time?
Part-time, we would expect to be about 2 days a week, maybe 10 hours, something like that.
Is that the equivalent less cost?
Yes, it would be, yeah.
Of whatever the full-time cost
Yeah.
is. But you're only taking 4 part-time.
4 part-time, yeah. I think it would be half. We would expect it to be double the, that you can take double the time. And so it would be about half the cost. And we can make payments and things by installments. And we'll come to individual arrangements on that. There's also, just something by way that you can apply for, if money is an issue, you can apply for funding to local authorities. So I live in Lambeth. I know Lambeth Endowed Charities will give people a grant. So wherever you live, just check out your borough and foundations and trusts. And they often are linked to education. I know John Lyons Foundation is a big one across London as well. Okay. Yes?
The full time means that every day we have lessons.
Every day there will be something happening. There's already 14 resident artists. They will be asked to give presentations of their work. That's 14 lectures for a start. We expect there to be at least 50 more artists here because there's lots of space that we're going to fill up. So there's going to be a lot of visiting people coming in. There are lectures scheduled that are very important to attend, the history lectures. So we would ask that people did try to attend those, and you would need to attend those in order to get the degree. We can be flexible, but you also have to.
Just to understand which is the engagement event.
Yeah. Does that answer it enough?
People will have
Come.
More or less.
people will have to write essays and so on, so there could be quite a lot of stuff they could do at home.
Yeah.
The lectures will obviously have to be in place, but But I think it wouldn't be that you have to be there every day. I mean,
Okay.
the lectures will be every day a couple of the weeks during the first year anyway, that's as far as we know.
Yes.
But there will be, the rest of the day will be much more flexible. I think if it turns out like the Courtauld was when I did my degree there,
Yeah.
you can manage quite well to do a full-time course without being there all the time. But
Yeah.
you do have to be there for some time.
Yeah.
And if you look at the programme, you usually can work out I think if that's helpful.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to be considering applications kind of sequentially as they come in?
Yes. I mean, we've got 34 spaces, so until we fill the 34, we'll be, and then we'll close applications for this year, if we reach that. Okay. Cool. Well, I can take more questions later, and you know, we'll do a tour of the school later on.